Mr. Hoyer, let's talk a little bit about local projects and local spending that appear to be in very serious jeopardy. You have been very involved over the last many years with your colleagues in both parties in providing money, for example, $150 million a year for the metro system in Washington, money that anybody who rides the system knows is desperately needed. Funding for the Blue Plains water treatment plant, which, as you also know, is the largest single source of pollution to the Chesapeake Bay, and then the Chesapeake Bay cleanup program in general. All of these things appear to be either at serious risk or basically dead now that Republicans are in charge. I wonder what you think the odds are that any of that money is going to survive.
Well, again, Paul, when you say the Republicans are in charge, the Republicans are in charge in the House of Representatives. The Senate is still in the hands of Democratic leadership, as is the presidency of the United States. So while the House is under the control of Republican leadership, and they probably can maintain their positions through a vote of the House, what we saw last December after the election was the ability of Republicans and Democrats to come together to pass positive legislation, adopting some things the Republicans liked, some things the Democrats liked, but making compromises. That's really what the legislative process is about. Now, the $150 million with respect to Metro, that was passed in a bipartisan fashion. Frank Wolf and I and other members of the Washington metropolitan area delegation have worked very hard for that. The reason the Congress has always participated in funding the construction of Metro and the operations of Metro is because one of the overwhelming users of that, of course, are federal employees. Those federal employees go to work for federal agencies who do not pay taxes, of course, but the federal government does participate to various services that are impacted by the Federal Employment Center. So we think that's justified. Frankly, during the Reagan administration, they tried to eliminate all help for local mass transit. Frank Wolf and I have fought, frankly, together for 30 years to make sure that, in fact, the federal government did make its proper contribution, and it has. And this is an instance where the Republicans have come in after we've had an agreement and bipartisan agreement to slash this funding. You mentioned the Chesapeake Bay as well.
Right, but excuse me, just to stay on Metro for a second. Realistically, it simply isn't possible that $150 million a year is going to continue at that level, is it?
Well, I'm not so sure that's the case. Again, we have in the Senate. We're going to have, I know, our 4 senators from the Washington metropolitan area, the states of Maryland and Virginia, fighting very hard to have that money stay in the budget. I know Senator Mikulski, who I've talked to, and Senator Cardin, who I've talked to on this, intend to be very vigorously engaged. And again, we have a majority in the Senate, and I think that will be supported in the Senate. And I frankly think we'll get some Republican support for that as well. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, Paul, that's gone, unless, of course, the Republicans in the House take the position, either you do it our way or we won't play. We will make no compromises. We will not come to a consensus. I think if they do that, the American people are going to see that as not constructive for getting things done.